I'm Hazel, it's actually Saturday, and that makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I've been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week kicks off the race to world first for Mythic Ny'alotha. Currently, as of recording this, we have Complexity Limit in first place at 11 of 12, with Method right behind them at 10 of 12, although the favorite in my heart is down at 10th-ish place or so. Strawberry Puppy Kisses wins, best name as far as I'm concerned. I can't say that I've been following the World First race too closely, but I will say that the new trend of having the raid leader not even be playing and just be spectating somebody else's view and then calling out cooldowns and micromanaging from that point of view, that's an interesting development for WoW. And obviously that's a World First race thing and not an everyday guild thing, but it got me imagining a weird far off future where people will come consult for guilds, not only to call their cooldowns and stuff for them, but maybe you have a dysfunctional guild and then you get a guild therapist to come in and then ask people why they behave a certain way in comms during raid fights. I think too much. New in WoW this week, the Darkmoon Fair is back, so make sure that you grab your reputation buff before you head out to do your dailies in Uldum and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Also of note, they have added some new mini games. There's a whole Darkmoon arcade, and I can't say that I've been just because there's no rewards for it. It's just for the joy of mini games. It sounds like they've repurposed a lot of the mini games they made for World Quests and made them available at the Darkmoon Fair. So that's fun. And just because there aren't rewards or tickets or anything for it now doesn't mean there never will be. It's nice to see them adding on to that. Other notable things this week, one, Warlords of Draenor Time Walking is up, so those two new WoD Time Walking mounts are available on the vendors, so if you've got the badges and you want yourself a Warwolf or an Iron Tusk, then go for it. Secondly, Dune Gorger Crowlock, a Vol'dun world boss, is up this week, and as of 8.3, he now has a chance to drop the Alpaca Mount Molly, and I did get it. I think it was my 7th to 9th-ish kill. I was almost running out of characters, but I hadn't quite run out of them yet. Anecdotally speaking, and mind you, this is with no data to back this up, just based on reading around and how many I've seen in the mix, I would say that it's probably, mind you, not as rare as the Shaw of Anger mount or the Rookmar mount or the Galleon mount. I don't think it's going to be a freebie. In those 7-8 runs that had probably between 10 and 30 people in each group, I don't think I saw any other piles of slightly damp fur. I think mine was the only one I saw, but I didn't necessarily stay long enough to watch everybody loot it, so there could have been more. I don't think it's a 1 in 2,000 drop rate situation, but I also don't think it's a 1 in 10. You can kill the boss on any 120s that you have this week. It doesn't matter what you've done on them. You can get them out to Vol'dun. As long as they're 120, they can kill the boss and have a chance at loot. The one that I had the mount drop on was just leveled. She's item level 232. So don't feel like you have to be all set up or anything to farm it. As far as me this week, I've just been kind of enjoying 8.3. I got my cloak caught up. I was apparently overly worried about that for nothing. For anybody asking about what caught up means, essentially every week they are making available a new tier of cloak upgrades. So right now my cloak is rank 7, and then next week when the new weekly reset comes in, I believe it'll be rank 8 available, and so on and so forth. And that's just kind of a time-gated rollout of how high you can level your cloak through horrific visions. So just being caught up just means that they're not offering you any more Rathian quests at this time. So apparently not that behind after all. And then Guild Raid was really fun this week. We killed another couple of bosses. We are now 11 of 12 normal and then 3 of 12 heroic. We did not, we tried to kill the last boss on normal. We tried really hard on Ny'alotha. Turns out paranoia it's not a hard mechanic, you get a buddy, you stack with your buddy, you stay away from everybody else. It's quite easy to understand, but in practice, I find that it only takes one person to just trample over a couple other people on their way to get to their person, and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of people that are very mind controlled, so we were struggling with that. Aside from raid, dailies have been a nice routine. It's just been kind of chill to get out there for 20 minutes or so a zone and get some rep and get some stuff and do the thing and kill the spooky stuff, and that's been nice. It's just kind of nice to have something to do. I'm sure I'll finish up with it eventually, and at that point I'll probably start weaving in more alt gameplay, but for now I'm having fun. I also have such an itch for mechanomes. I unlocked mechanomes, and I didn't think that they were going to matter that much to me because I already play a gnome, and I already have the best hair color for a gnome. Mechanomes have fairly natural hair colors, and I wanted my strawberry pink. And then I'm like, well, I'm a Shadow Priest. If I play a Mechanome Shadow Priest, you know who's gonna know? Nobody. I'm a little purple jelly bean. So I didn't think I was gonna like them, but then I unlocked them, and then I looked at their customizations, and now I really want one, and I can't bring myself to start leveling one right now just because it's gonna take some time that I don't have. I'm also going through my recurring what if I was a warlock phase that happens to me every now and then, so maybe I'll end up leveling that. And questions from this week. Joshua asks, what do you expect as a release date for Shadowlands? Do you think they might just make the pre-patch longer since we will scale down in level? Usually they don't go for winter add-ons, but you already mentioned there's no alpha yet, so they might have to. So it's an interesting question. Let's do a little bit of speculation, shall we? Because the obvious answer is nobody knows. But there's a couple different metrics you can compare now against the past to try and predict when Shadowlands might come out. So one of them is the distance between the announcement and the release date. And BFA was about 10 months or so. Wrath and Kata were the longest at like 13 to 14 months between announcement and release date. But they've been getting it done pretty consistently in like a year or less, I would say average about a year. And Shadowlands was announced November of last year. So that would put it coming out around BlizzCon time of 2020. That's a long time from now, and betas historically, at least the recent ones, have actually only been 4 or 5 months. I kind of thought they were longer, but apparently they've only really run about 4 or 5 months recently. So if we get a beta in like March, you're still only looking like March, April, May, June, like July, August-ish, so we could see a summer release. It just depends on how quickly they get the beta off the ground. As far as your suggestion about an early pre-patch, while I would enjoy that because that would make leveling alts to prepare for Shadowlands much more enjoyable, I don't think they're going to do like a really overly long pre-patch, because pre-patches are this weird limbo where the new systems are in place but none of the new content's in place, but the new systems are kind of designed for the new content. In past expansions, when they've done a stat squish, they put the stat squish in the pre-patch, but the stat squish was kind of intended for endgame players to be another 10 levels and 100 item levels up, so people were having difficulty like soloing old content or feeling weird in current content after the stat squish, and it's hard to say if level squishing is going to have any other bizarre effects. So I imagine that they're not going to leave it in longer than necessary because pre-patches make things weird. As far as a guess, I'm just going to take an updated stab and say September-ish, but until we know how far Shadowlands is along, it's going to be tough to say. Maybe they just whip it out early summer. Who knows? Could happen. Joe Hollister asks, how do you handle 60 corruption? The easy answer, at least for me, is that I don't. My cloak is currently taking off, I think, 27 corruption, and then my essence takes off another 10, so I'm running around under 30. I have decided to abide by the commonly passed around wisdom of don't put your corruption over 39 is a breakpoint a lot of people seem to be going by, and at 39 you're going to have a very big eyeball circle to move out of, and you're going to have the slows to deal with, but you're not messing with like the thing from beyond ads or anything like that. So that seems to be like the you can go up to this, but maybe don't push it too much farther point, at least if you're not sure how much you want to wear. So that's the wisdom I've been abiding by, is just telling the things that I sim my gear with to like take me up to 39, but not any further. Cheston asks, what is something that you have felt motivates you to farm mounts or do long farms, for example, AP? I personally find it hard and was looking for some advice. Happy New Year from Cornwood. So pretty much any long farm, maybe with the exception of my whole Leaping Veinseeker saga. Most long farms that I do, I don't really just sort of sit down and grind them all out at once, and I'm not even really focused on the result, like on the thing that I'm farming for. I get pretty disconnected from the goal and mostly try to just really enjoy the process and work it into my routine. So I do mount runs regularly, not so much for the mounts, although those are definitely nice, but just because it's a chill kind of Tuesday ritual to sit down and go through some old raids, it's definitely more about the journey for me. Dorte asks, do you think we will ever get a humanoid dragonkin race in WoW? It would be so cool to be able to turn into a dragon like the druid has flight form, etc., and maybe in humanoid form have wings and stuff. This is my dream and hope. I would love it. I think that sounds so cool. I'm envisioning it kind of like Worgen, where you have like a dragonkin form, or maybe just a dragon, maybe just a dragon form for combat, and then you have a humanoid form that you can switch into out of combat if you want. I would love if instead of just turning into humans, dragonkins were able to choose if they wanted to be like a gnome like Chromie, or a goblin like that one chick from the Burning whatever, you know what I mean. Or, a human or an elf form, that kind of thing. That would be kind of fun. I also could see some potential for a dragonkin-based class. Dragons are working their way back into the story a little bit more, so while I wouldn't call it likely, I will say that there's a chance. And that has been my week. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you have any questions you would like me to answer on a vlog, please leave them in the comments of the most recent one. Let me know what you think, stop by a stream sometime, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.